Hello again. It's a long time I didn't do a video about lenses, so let's do one. And with this video we'll compare these two lenses. These are two virtually equal, or at least spec-wise, lenses. These are 50mm 1.8. In the left we have the Yongnuo from a Chinese company which tries to offer some cheaper options to the Canon users with this Yongnuo 50mm 1.8 that adapts to EF mounts for Canon. We see here the big aperture, it's 1.8. Autofocus, which we can set into manual also. We have this rack that extends like 1 centimeter out when it's fully extended. And it feels quite plasticky, but it works. And in the other side we have the Pentacon 50mm 1.8, a fully manual lens made in Dresden in the 80s, or maybe end of the 70s in this case, because Pentacon about mid-80s they changed the mount from M42, which is this threaded mount, to a bayonet mount like the one we see in modern cameras. So also, as I said, 50mm 1.8 with this beautiful diaphragm. This lens is manually operated, both the diaphragm and the focusing. So we see here the hyperfocal scale. Sorry, the hyperfocal is this, and here we see the diaphragm. Diaphragm stops from 1.8 to 16. So what are the differences between these two lenses? Well, from the practicality, this autofocus, this is not. So, not being autofocus, it means it needs much more effort to use the Pentacon. We need to stop to focus well, probably using live view. You want to be more precise and then take the picture, which means it's difficult to use for moving things. Like if we want to take portraits of people and the people is not very patient, with this we will struggle a lot, because you will, find the place to take the pictures, find a good lighting, not lighting, but I don't know, all the good conditions. And then the people say, come on, take the picture. Why? You are not ready? What are you waiting for? But it's very difficult to explain to people that with this you need to focus, and you need like 10 seconds, 15 seconds. But because nowadays people are used to smartphones, everything is instantaneous, you don't need to do anything. It's difficult to explain actually. It seems stupid, but you will very hardly take portraits with this because of this reason, because no one is patient to wait. And then there is this, which you just half press, beep, beep, half second, and it's focused and you shoot. So this, from the practicality point of view, you will use this in much more occasions because it's just easier to use and people doesn't complain. But from the optical point of view, this superior, several levels superior. The micro contrast of this is not great. I would say it's a bit worse than the original Canon, well, original, let's say the 50mm 1.8 Canon, the plastic fantastic so-called lens. I think it's a bit worse, the micro contrast, not that far away, but that lens is already bad. So that is bad, this is a bit worse, it's not that great. It has a slightly pink coloring of the picture. So both the micro contrast, the color saturation, not great in general. This much, much better. This has the same optic design, so it's a double Gauss, as most of the 50mm 1.8 that have been made during the last century. So basically it's 6 glass elements inside of this, 3 and 3 disposed in a symmetric way, in which we have a Gauss lens, which is a combination of a divergent and convergent lens cemented together to correct the chromatic aberrations, and then we have a convergence lens that gives us the proper the proper focal length, and then we have the same with a symmetry in which we have the diaphragm. Why is this so much better? I don't know. I guess in the past, most of the money was put into the manufacturing of the glass itself with the multi-coating, and nowadays it seems most of the money is put into the electronics, into the advertising. I don't really know why. Or maybe this was much more expensive at the time. Nowadays this costs around 45 euros with a delivery included from China. And I don't know what was the price of this, probably cheap because it was made in Dresden, and the salary level in Dresden at that time maybe was not quite close to the one in the west part of Germany. But what I can say is that the construction of this is like a tank, first of all. This has more than 35 years old, and look at it, it's like new. It's all metal and glass. There is no plastic, and the focusing ring is so smooth, you can focus so precisely, and the clicks of the diaphragm are so pleasing. So color saturation, micro contrast, everything is better from the optical point of view. All the images you get with this are better than with this. The only thing is being manual focusing lens, you will miss a lot of shots. So when you are post-processing at home, you will realize, oh no, this picture is not focused. Oh no, this neither. And at the end, you end up with like 20 or 25% of the pictures in focus, while with this you will get most of the pictures focused, like 90%. So, in my opinion, even if with this you will get a much higher rate of pictures well focused, none of the pictures taken with this are outstanding. So most of the pictures are quite similar to let's say, with the pictures taken with a kit lens, with the exception of the bokeh, which is quite much better with this than with the kit lens. But concerning color saturation, micro contrast, etc., this is quite similar to a kit lens. It's not amazing. But this is outstanding. It just outperforms any other lenses I tried, made nowadays, let's say. And the color saturation, the micro contrast are just outstanding. The only thing, maybe it cannot compete with a nowadays lens, is the chromatic aberration in the corners. It's not as well corrected as in the nowadays lens because of one reason. This was not made to be used in digital cameras. This one was made to be used in film. And the problem with digital cameras is that the red pixels are sensitive to infrared light. So when you design this kind of Gauss elements that I talked about before, you design them for the visible spectrum, or at least the spectrum that will, let's say, affect the film of the silver film cameras. But if you knew that this will be used in the future for a camera that will be sensitive to infrared, you will optimize the design of this Gauss lens to correct for this infrared. But because this was not done, this has some infrared aberration that causes the red channel to go a bit off when you are in the corners. And the same happens with the UV. A bit in the corners you see some blue fringing due to the chromatic aberration. But this is a tiny thing. This really nothing, if you really look at the quality that this puts out compared to the nowadays lens like this. So, summarizing. A Yongnuo 50mm versus a Pentacon 50mm, same design, virtually same characteristics, but this has much more practicality with the autofocus. It's lighter, it's made of plastic, it's cheap. But if you can get this second-hand and you like photography and you have the skills to manual focus and you also understand what are the basics of the exposure, because you will need to choose the diaphragm, the results you will get with this are several levels above this, are professional quality level. So I hope you like this video. See you in the next video. Bye.